Tonight, hospitals overwhelmed with more patients than staff to care for them.
We're asking people who are mildly ill to avoid the emergency departments.
For the first time in the pandemic, William Osler declares a code orange as its hospitals struggle to handle the patient load. Plus,
everybody was crying, we were screaming, we were trying to help each other.
A family shaken but alive after a tanker truck carrying gasoline smashes into their home while they were sleeping. And
there's another on a stretcher. They're giving CPR.
3 people are dead and 1 injured after a pair of shootings in Etobicoke within an hour of one another. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. In less than an hour, new public health measures and restrictions kicking off across the province as the Omicron variant threatens to overwhelm Ontario's healthcare system. Now, the new measures move schools online and will force a number of businesses to modify operations or close up shop entirely. Now, here's a reminder of just some of the restrictions that kick in at 12:01 tonight. Now, restaurants, bars, and food courts will be shutting down. For anyone willing to brave the cold, outdoor dining is allowed. Gyms are being closed along with all indoor sports and recreational programs. Outdoor facilities can operate at 50% capacity. Personal care services and retail are also permitted to operate at 50% capacity. And Ontario is reporting nearly 1,300 patients hospitalized with COVID-19 today. That's more than double the number this time in the province last week. And some hospitals are now so short on staff to care for patients, they're asking you not to come to the ER unless it's truly an emergency. Our Queen's Park reporter Mike Crawley has more.
It's one of the biggest hospital systems in the province, including both Brampton Civic and Etobicoke General. Right now, COVID-19 is dramatically depleting its nursing staff.
The Omicron virus is ravaging through everyone, and that includes healthcare workers.
Normally, there's 1 nurse for every 4 patients here. Now each nurse is dealing with nearly 10 patients.
We're seeing levels of illness within our healthcare workforce higher than we've ever seen at this stage in the pandemic, and that's markedly affecting our ability to staff various units, including the emergency departments across our sites.
For the first time in the pandemic, Osler has declared what's called Code Orange. It's a call for all hands on deck, a sign that the hospitals are struggling to handle the patient load.
It's because of a nursing shortage. It's not because we don't have enough porters in the hospital. It's not because we don't have enough cleaners. It's because we don't have nurses in the hospitals, and this is not used very often.
We're asking people who are mildly ill to avoid the emergency departments and seek care at their family doctor.
Expect that same message soon across Ontario. With untold thousands more cases of COVID-19 every day, it's projected the province will soon face more patients than hospital beds. And just adding beds won't help, says this hospital CEO.
The ministry came to me and said that you can open another 30 beds in your Etobicoke site where we have some space. Yeah, I could open the beds, I just couldn't staff them.
The Premier tours a temporary facility at the Toronto Congress Centre, normally a space where conventions happen. It can take up to 90 patients who would otherwise need a hospital bed.
Great support for the healthcare system.
For months, there were no more than a few hundred patients with COVID-19 in Ontario's hospitals. That number began rising in December, then exploded, more than doubling in the past week. After nearly 2 years of caring for patients in the pandemic, Ontario's healthcare workers are about to face their biggest test yet. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
The City of Toronto is preparing for a significant depletion of staff as the Omicron variant continues spreading quickly, forcing many workers to stay home and isolate. But Mayor John Tory is reassuring the public that essential services will continue, though some services will be affected more than others. Ali Chiasson has the latest.
As Omicron surges, the city is preparing for a worst-case scenario with as many as 50 to 60% of city staff being off work.
This is something all frontline services are grappling with around the world as Omicron spreads, and it is something that all workplaces will encounter in the coming weeks.
The city actually has a continuity task force dedicated to ensuring the lights stay on, so to speak.
At the top of the list overall is to make sure that those essential and critical services are maintained in a way that can make sure the city remains safe and healthy for people to live in.
Those services being?
Obviously, our emergency services are there, fire service, paramedic service, and Toronto Police. Other things would include our shelters, our long-term care homes, certain aspects of children's services, our vaccine clinic operations, and services like the TTC. We are doing everything we can do to identify every opportunity to fill those needs and keep those critical and essential services running.
Meanwhile, we could see service interruptions in parks and recreation and the Toronto Public Library. The city announced today that it will be closing 44 of their branches across the city, effective next Monday, January 10th.
So they're closing the community branches, the neighborhood branches, and leaving open the district branches, which are the much bigger branches.
Cameron Ray has been a Toronto librarian for 17 years and has never seen anything like this.
Also that staff are sick. We get a weekly email of who has COVID. Like we get the name, but we get the branch and we get the date. And historically, it was like 1 or 2 people a week. And the last email was 40. Yeah.
The reality is that library staff do more than just sign out books. Libraries themselves are used as community hubs.
In 1 week, we had about 25 or 26 staff that were either exposed to COVID at work or through community, I suppose.
The president of the Library Workers Union says even though you could say that they provide an essential service, they've never had the staff to accommodate this many sick calls.
We want the libraries to be open. We want to be able to serve the community safely. But because of the years of chronic understaffing that have led to this point, I think we're at a breaking point in terms of staffing levels. And some people may say that, in a sense, the chickens have come home to roost.
The remaining library branches that'll stay open will have capacity limits of 50%. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
A family is left without a home tonight, but lucky to be alive after a tanker truck carrying gasoline crashed into their North York home late yesterday night. Crews have been working all day today to remove the truck safely. Our Dahlia Ashry is live at the scene right now. And Dahlia, they were able to finally remove it not too long ago.
That's right, Kelda. After several hours, around 10 p.m., the tanker truck was safely removed from the area. Now, you can still smell a little bit of that diesel in the air, but it's a much safer area right now as the scene has cleared up a little bit, but there's still a lot of police in the area and Toronto fire crews. Toronto Hydro also turned off the electricity in the home to ensure that there was no fire. The road is still blocked off to traffic for the neighborhood. And as much as it's a horrible scene, one thing everyone that I spoke to can agree on and have told me, from fire crews to Toronto Police, is the fact that no one was badly injured is quite a miracle. A tanker filled with gas has been safely emptied after crashing into a North York home.
We've had some delays in here because we were worried about the stability of the home.
The task taking the entire day, with engineers and firefighters providing all hands on deck.
Once the product is completely off the tankers that were involved in the incident, the vehicle will be able to be moved out of the scene and the house will be able to be stabilized.
The tanker truck crashed into the home on O'Connor Drive near Sunrise Avenue around 11 p.m. on Monday, jolting awake the family of 6 living inside.
We thought it's an earthquake, and it was bad.
Almaz Panjwani awaking to this debris. She spoke to reporters this morning as she returned to collect her belongings.
We couldn't be able to believe that it's going to be like this. And then everybody was crying. We were screaming.
Moments before heading to bed, this nearby resident was also jolted by the loud noise as a truck crashed into the home.
I was terrified, thinking that it might blow.
Luckily, nothing blew up and no one inside the home was hurt. Firefighters removed the driver from the truck. He suffered only minor cuts. Danielle LeBlanc also lives nearby. She called 911.
There was a big bang, so we heard something and the power went out for a second and flashed, and then we just went running because we knew something in the area someone was hurt.
A small amount of diesel fuel leaked from the truck, but no gasoline escaped from the tank. Fortunately, an old-age home down the street was unaffected by the crash. The Panjwani family, meanwhile, is left to pick up the pieces of the place they once called home, now destroyed.
We worked very hard. We came as an immigrant here. We worked 25, 30 years to make this house. It's not easy.
In the meantime, the Pajwani family says they'll be staying with their relatives. As for the cause of the accident, Toronto police tell me that's still under investigation. Kelda?
Thanks so much, Dahlia. That's our Dahlia Ashry reporting live for us tonight. Meteorologist Ian Black joins us now with a first look at the forecast. And Ian, nice to see some milder temperatures today, but some changes coming fast, especially with the wind.
Kelda, it sure was nice to get that milder air working in here. Now, look, fast-paced changes. Boy, this 7-day forecast is giving me spins here. And the real headline here will be the winds, which will pick up early tomorrow. But I think once the cold front goes through at about 3 p.m., really start to see those winds increasing. In fact, a special weather statement in effect for those. Environment Canada is suggesting some areas, exposed areas along the shoreline, or perhaps higher elevations on the bluffs, that sort of thing. Gusts that could be close to 80 kilometers per hour. So that can cause problems. Temperature roller coaster. The high tomorrow will probably be set by midday, and as the afternoon moves along, temperatures start to drop right off again. I know it's Tuesday, but I like talking about the weekend too in the next 2 reports I'll be giving you. Here's a quick look ahead. So I don't see any problems overnight. Tomorrow the winds begin to pick up, especially later in the afternoon, okay? Gusts that could be up around 70 kilometers per hour or higher. A morning shower, changing to a flurry as temperatures cool in the afternoon. This is just before the front at 2 p.m. But once that front comes through, the winds really begin to howl out of the southwest, and those temperatures start to drop off. And hang on to your steering wheels tomorrow. The low somewhere around 0. Which is well above normal, and 4 degrees set by around midday tomorrow. A morning shower, flurries after that, and boy, the winds really begin to pick up. I'll give you the full 7-day forecast coming right up.
Thanks so much, Ian. Toronto police are investigating after 2 deadly shootings in Etobicoke last night. The shootings, about an hour apart from each other, left 3 people killed and another with serious injuries. Our Greg Ross has the details.
I did notice all the flashing lights and all the police presence.
Jeff Waddell lives and works near Office 146, a cooperative workspace on 30th Street in Etobicoke, where police have confirmed 3 people were shot last night.
I saw a victim on a stretcher too. One came out directly to an ambulance. There was another on a stretcher they're giving CPR to.
Police say 2 men were taken to hospital where they later died. A woman is in hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. This woman works in the building and says she felt unsafe even before the shootings.
I have been in a couple of instances where there's a large group of a lot of individuals drinking and just a big group in the front, so I don't feel comfortable.
The shooting happened just before 9 o'clock last night. A short time later, and not far away, police say more shots were fired.
Police responded to a radio call for a shooting in the Palace Pier area.
According to police, 39-year-old Giovanni Raimondi was shot in a condo building at Palace Pier Court in Etobicoke and pronounced dead on scene.
I can tell you that he was found in a building. I can't give you any information in regards to a common area, an apartment, or a condo.
At this point, police aren't saying whether or not they believe these 2 shootings are connected. They say they're looking at surveillance footage from both scenes, and they're asking anyone with information on either shooting to come forward. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
And tonight, police have identified the 2 victims in the 30th Street shooting. They are 20-year-old Chudie Reet of Mississauga, seen here, and 24-year-old Minyali Wur, also from Mississauga. Durham police are investigating a fatal shooting in Oshawa. A man was found in a home suffering from life-threatening injuries last night.
A male was rushed to a hospital, a local one, where he was later pronounced dead as a result of the injuries he sustained. Our homicide investigators were called in, and I know our forensic team is there working at the scene.
Not many details at this point. Police say there's no description of any suspect, but they did confirm the victim is a 20-year-old man. Anyone with information is asked to contact police or Crime Stoppers. We are 1 month away from seeing the opening ceremony and the Olympic torch lit at the Winter Games in Beijing. And despite the surge of Omicron cases around the world, there is no talk from the International Olympic Committee of postponing the event. In the words of senior Canadian IOC member Dick Pound, it would take something apocalyptic to stop the Beijing Games. And one of Toronto's own is set to make her Olympic debut in Beijing. Cynthia Appiah was first introduced to bobsledding as a student at York University. She almost left the sport in 2018 after a major setback, but she's back in a new position and ready to compete. Angelina King caught up with her before she hit the World Cup circuit ahead of next month's Games.
She's come so far, so fast.
Cynthia Appiah winning silver in the women's monobob last month, her first World Cup medal as a pilot.
Oh, I'm so excited. My
Well-
first World Cup medal! Woo!
Yes. Next up, her sights firmly set on the Winter Games.
You have to put in 100% to be able to, achieve your goals.
That's something Appiah was taught from an early age. Her parents immigrated from Ghana, raising their family in Toronto community housing. They prioritized education and hard work.
I just see how hard they've worked to be able to give us what we needed in life, to make sure that we put every effort into, or put our best effort into everything that we did. And for that, I'm very grateful.
Fastest starter.
That lesson served her well. Appiah got into bobsleigh after being a track and field athlete at York University. She's built for both strong and fast, but in 2018, a major disappointment.
I was just ready to call it quits.
After years of hard work and sacrifice, she was told she'd be an alternate at the 2018 Games. She was about to quit, but instead pressed on, moving from her position as a brakewoman to the driver's seat as a pilot.
The way she then turned that disappointment into a positive energy and a resolute determination, to push forward and to make it to this next Games has been admirable.
Meanwhile, Appiah stayed connected to Toronto, giving back to her community, staying close with her family.
So it's just really inspiring to see.
Her sister Martha and the rest of her family are her biggest fans.
She's always been the person who tries anything, always wants to kind of push herself, pushes us as well to do our best. So.
5:92. She couldn't possibly not go quicker.
Through it all, Appiah says she's had to deal with negative stereotypes, being a black athlete in a winter sport.
I find that it just makes it that much more sweeter when I am successful. I don't see myself as really being, this huge figure in anything. I just feel like my presence is enough to kind of show that the possibilities are endless.
Her advice to others with big dreams?
It's going to be difficult. I don't want to stand here and pretend like it's been sunshine and rainbows. But know that, your determination and the tenacity that you have and the passion that you have within yourself is what's going to help you to become stronger. You will get there.
Just like Appiah. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
You're looking at a live shot of the Toronto skyline, cloudy with clear breaks overnight. Temperatures milder than we've been used to the last couple of nights. Currently 3 degrees in the city. Let's go back to Ian now with a look at your extended forecast. And Ian, gotta watch for those winds that are coming.
Kelda, boy, fast-paced changes. The real weather headline, the wind tomorrow. Special weather statement in effect, especially later in the afternoon into the evening hours. You could see some gusts in some spots near 80 kilometers per hour. The high temperature set probably around midday, and as the afternoon moves along, temperatures start to drop off. So a morning shower, changing to a wet flurry, and then a couple of flurries as the temperatures drop. But watch out for those winds later tomorrow, especially. Segway day on Thursday, seasonal high temperatures. Cooling off on Friday, a high of only -5. Saturday, -3 with a mix of sun and cloud. Briefly warmer on Sunday with a shower or flurry, certainly possible. But then bang, right back into the deep freeze Monday and Tuesday. Hang on to your hats. That is fast-paced change. I'm going to show you that 7-day forecast again in just a second. Here's the big picture. Okay, you're on the mild side of this system. But once that cold front comes through at about 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, it sets the stage for very gusty winds and temperatures that will begin to drop right back off again, okay? This low is going to track something like that tomorrow. And that trailing cold front in behind it, boy, it's been chilly. You've been reading about how cold it is in the prairies. You're going to get into some of that action too. Okay, here's a look at what happens after that. A couple of showers in the morning, then some scattered flurries move in as the temperatures go nowhere in the afternoon. In fact, they'll begin to drop, especially late tomorrow. And those winds not helping at all could cause power outages. Environment Canada warns of dangerous driving too, because the winds will be really blustery. And then you get into Thursday and you're looking at a lot of clouds, maybe a flurry, and rather chilly. Okay, wind gusts. Tomorrow, easily getting over 50 kilometers per hour. In some cases, perhaps over 60, and in some isolated areas, you could get gusts over 70. So that can cause some problems, okay? Keep your hands on the steering wheel. Here's your 7-day again. Real temperature up, down, up again on Sunday with some flurries or showers, and then right back down again Monday and Tuesday of next week. Wow, that is a busy 7-day forecast full of some fast-paced change, isn't it? Well, here's something to take your mind off it. From Eastern Ontario, thanks to Harry. I know it's colder in Eastern Ontario than Southern Ontario. They're already playing shinny. There's an iconic Canadian shot, isn't it? That's Look at Weather.
And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Chris Glover has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6, and I will see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Have a great night, everyone.